and welcome to Arm with Controllers. This is Fabs, and today on my It Came From the East, I am playing Bladestorm, the 100 Years War. Yes, it's a game set in Europe for my Japanese segment. Yeah, it'll make sense, trust me. So, this is made by Koi, the chaps behind the Dynasty Warriors series. See, it makes sense now. And this is basically a rather mental take on the 100 Years War. So here's my character. The point of this game is you play as a mercenary. The ultimate aim is to become the most famous and awesome mercenary ever. And you do this by taking on different missions for both the French and the English sides, and building up your fame that way. So I'm going to start out. I'm just going to pick what squads I want to be able to summon at any time, which again will make sense when we actually play the game. So there we go. I think I'm going to go for some Mongolian mounted bowmen, because yes, apparently they were all over the place during the 100 Years War. As I said, this is a rather crazy take on it. If you're playing this game expecting a history lesson, bear in mind that it does feature Joan of Arc and Edward the Black Prince living within very close temporal distance. So yeah, that, and you can even hire a ninja to help you out. I'm wearing very Japanese armour. It's not a history lesson. I mean, it does follow certain battles of the era quite well, but that's beside the point. So I need to pick myself a battle here. As you can see, I've got all these wonderful contracts I can take. The ones in red are for the English, and the ones in blue are French. Depending on the difficulty, you get more money and fame and such like. So I'm going to take this one on because it's the English, and if my accent didn't tell you anything, I happen to have been born and raised in England, so I have a natural inbuilt xenophobia when it comes to the French. Okay, so I've got 3 days to fulfill my contract, which is to take out that blue town there. So what I'm going to do, because I've got 3 days, I'm going to spend some time softening up the towns around wherever it was. I really can't read at the moment. So that way, also, because I have to make sure that I want to say Toulouse there is kept safe. I can that way ensure there's no chance of the place I'm trying to defend being taken out from behind while I'm conquering my target. So the point of this game is you have to lead squads of troops, all equipped with certain weapons, into battle, which is remarkably simple. At the moment I'm leading a bunch of crossbowmen, which is kind of cool. Now the combat in this game, even though you first thought it would be Dynasty Warriors, it's very different. You see, the traditional complaint for Dynasty Warriors games is that you spend all your time constantly hammering one button. I'm guessing the developers heard this complaint and they decided, okay, they don't want to hammer buttons, we'll give them the complete opposite then. And instead, you actually, for the melee classes at least, you just hold R1 and let the rest happen by itself. I wish I was kidding. So, how's combat working at the moment? I'm playing as the crossbow, which as the ranged class. Instead, if you look at the bottom right there, I've got a selection of different moves. Pierce armor is the first person shooting one, which you saw earlier, and there was also random fire, which meant they could fire at any targets nearby. So instead of being able to constantly fire, you have to wait for those special abilities to load up. So I'm playing with the cutthroat axe now, apparently. So here we are, this is more like it. Holding R1, they're charging towards the enemy. I've just summoned a bunch of lancers now, because one of the fences. One of the major things about this game is the rock paper scissors style approach to combat. Certain weapons will unsurprisingly only be any good against other weapons, and so on. So here I am. I've got a bunch of fencers. They're rather rubbish against the traditional sword bearers, as you can see here, because of the bizarre pink glowing effect above their heads. Now, if you look over in the far distance, though, there is one particular squad there, which I just killed. Their symbol was glowing with a blue glow. So what that means is that my weapon is effective against them. So I'm sick of being weak against the base commander there. So I'm just going to run around, see if I can grab command of another of the squads surrounding me. But at the same time I can also attack by myself here. I've got a fairly regular sword. And I've got the... See, what happens is I need to kill this base commander now to take out the town so I can take control of it. In the run-up to fighting in this city, there were a few units of the enemies which had a little shield above them. What happens is you need to take out the guys with the shields on their symbol, so that they represent the defence of the town. Once you've reduced that to 0, you can then the base commander pops up, you kill him, everyone's smiling. So isn't that nice? Now, because I've now taken over a town, if you look at the bottom right there, you'll notice I have 287 points, and I am first. This is a gauge of my fame. As I mentioned earlier, what you want to do in this game is become the most famous mercenary ever. So, you can do that by taking out as many troops as possible, by capturing loads of cities, and at the end of the battle you get ranked depending on how much fame you accumulated. You get rewards and such like based on that. So it is in your interest to actually do a good job. Not the least because you are, as the first indicates, you are competing with all the other mercenaries on the battlefield, in addition to the English and French generals as well. And they can sometimes do ridiculously well and start, that means they'll get all the fame and you won't look as good by comparison and so on. And you need fame to continue on in the game as well. Once you hit certain fame, certain story things happen and so on. Okay, so this game is pretty much, I think it's considered a bit of a black sheep in the Tecmo Koei backlog. It's one of the few Battlefield action games which hasn't had another sequel. Certainly hasn't achieved the fame of your Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors, which is a shame, I think. That said, Joan of Arc did appear as a playable character in Warriors Oratory 3, and she's actually pretty damn good in that. Okay, so I've just activated Bladestorm. What this is that as you attack your bad guys, you'll find you get a combo count. The higher that goes, you get more points towards your Bladestorm gauge in the bottom left there. When that activates automatically full, which means basically you become practically invincible, do more damage, increase combo hits, that kind of fairly standard OMG super mode stuff. So it's very helpful at this point because I've currently only got a bunch of lance fencers, I don't know why I keep getting too mixed up, against sword people who have a tendency to massacre them. If you look at the bottom left there, you see the number of fences I have to my name. That's dropping horribly rapidly. So yeah, let's pick somebody else. Oh no, let's solo it. Screw that. No, screw that. Let's take these lancers instead. These guys are pretty cool. Spear and shield. Very strong against the sword types, as you can see there. So, well, yeah. That's another town to my name. Get in. So let's go for a run, shall we? See if there's any further things. Well, actually, first off, let's nick the spoils. Each time you capture this town, you get items, you get money, and you get to cure your health. Lovely. Okay, so this has skipped on ahead a bit now. Battle, as we said, is divided into 3 days. This lasts a certain amount of in-game time. As you can see at the top there, we've got a countdown going now. So in 4 seconds, the day will be over, and that will be that for this level then, for the time being. So nightfall. Bit weird that the moment it declares nightfall rather than this whole evening thing. I'm guessing that the sun just suddenly falls out of the sky in the Bladestorm world. Okay, so sadly, because the latter half of that day was spent with me running around desperately trying to find something to kill, I fell behind the likes of John Chandos, Percy, and John Falstaff. All very important names. The vast majority of these names are, in fact, real generals, real soldiers, real mercenaries as well. So they've done the research, which fairly standard for one of these Tecmo Koei games. as anyone who's played Dynasty Warriors can attest. Okay, so second day, I'm going to go to the other end of the battlefield now. I'm just going to have some fun, take out a few more towns, just to pump up my skill rating, I think. Okay, so got me a bunch of lance and shield dudes again. Pretty cool. I will say this though, this game does have very nice music. It's, I wouldn't say it's necessarily accurate to the time period, if only because I think the orchestra's a bit too advanced for the time. Ah, here we go, Lahire. Here's me fighting up one of these enemy generals. This guy Lahire again was an actual person. I've gone for the lancers, the fencers. I'm going to get this right one day. Fencers, because they're strong against his crazy polearm axe things. So let's see, let's set them off, shall we? As you can see, they're doing quite a good job racking up the combo hits. Activate combo slash when there's nobody around. That's always good. So each weapon does have its own selection of special moves. This will change as well with the unit type. For example, I'm using dual fences at the moment. So these guys have 2 weapons on them, which is pretty cool of them. So compare that with, say, the shield fencers. They obviously, you can then hold the B button and do a shield defense against certain attacks, which is cool. In this case, instead of that, these guys have the charm ability, so I can seduce all the male soldiers to fight on my side. I am that fabulous, so it will happen. That's pretty. There's a lot of variety in the unit types as well. Certain weapons will do certain things. There will always be, let's say, armor breaker with your fences, because they're designed to stick their little swords in the folds of plate armor and really screw up the heavily armed guys. That's pretty cool. Okay, so switching to crossbow again. I do enjoy using the ranged units in this actually, because while yes, if you find yourself being charged upon by a knight, they will fall apart like butter. This is why you play tactically. So let's see, here we go. Use the long range one there. Screw him over. Random fire does quite a bit of damage as well. The only problem is it does take a while to load up your next attack, which makes sense really, in that you're not going to instantly suddenly have arrows appear in your crossbow as a magic. I don't think there's any magic in this game. There are grenadiers, which they hand wave by saying it's crazy Arabian science. I don't know. Still, good of them to pay lip service to the Islamic world, since at the time that was kind of the scientific powerhouse. You know, we in Europe, we are too busy going, hey, that god guy's kind of cool, let's burn witches and stuff. Yeah, Dark Ages, fun. So I do wonder why it is they decided to do a 100 Years War game, considering you can understand why they did the Three Kingdoms era game of Dynasty Warriors, because the Japanese, they do have a massive boner for the Three Kingdoms era. Samurai Warriors, the Sengoku period, again, massive boner for Oda Nobunaga, the entirety of the Sengoku era. I couldn't begin to count on my hands the sheer number of different anime, TV shows and whatnot with feature characters from that time period, or even directly reference those events. It's all quite wacky. I mean, the 100 Years War again, I think that's something that's skipped over a lot, even in English schools, as part of the history, which I find completely insane, because it's fascinating stuff. You've got the end of chivalry in some respects. With the increasing use of crossbow, the English longbow in particular, completely flattening French cavalry and such like. There's a lot of stuff as well in the literature of the time, which represents changing moods and whatnot. You've got things like the death of nobility. I say a death of nobility. The lack of power of the nobility compared with the common man armed with a bow, which is quite something. Yeah, it's an interesting period. If you find yourself needing to do some historical research on something, yeah, just read up on 100 Years War. Although, I'll start you off by pointing out it actually lasts 115 years. Why they call it 100 Years War? I'm guessing it sounds snappier. So let's have some fun with the Mongol bowmen. Now, the mounted archers I've always found very difficult to use in this. I mean, your basic tactic is circling your enemy, then pressing circle every so often just to ensure that you actually hit them. Because the pinpoint is fundamentally useless with the mounted ones because you stop still, which means, well, you can get an initial ranged attack in, then run in and circle them. After that, you're going to become shredded like confetti. It's quite ridiculous. So there we are, skip ahead, have some fun with the basic horsey moves, because horsies are fun. That didn't get to kill that dude, sadly. Night has fallen, everyone decides, okay, let's go home, get drunk. Good times. Okay, so how was my ranking here? That's more like it. Number 1, get in. Alright, so there's my fame level. Unlocked a load of items, which is cool, including an aquamarine of courage. Ooh. Okay, final day. Let's do this, shall we? So, nearly every French city in the area has been taken. So let's deploy from Toulouse. It should, as a big city, it means there should be a good selection of units to pick from. I've gone for the knifemen. The knife users are my favourite in this game, if only because when you level them up enough, you upgrade the stats and whatnot. The knife throw is effectively firing a shotgun into a bunch of troops, like so. Look at those numbers, awesome. And plus, it levels up very quickly as well. So let's keep going, bang. So good, so good. The only problem is it has defense like toilet paper. And when you come up against something that's really strong against it, as you can see, I just lost about 10 men in a single attack. No matter how much I poison these guys, it ain't going to do well. Now see, if I was using ninja, it would be very different. Because ninja count as knife throwers in this. Makes as much sense as actually being ninja fighting in the 100 Years' War. I don't know, you can get camels as well. Although I do recall reading a little, it did suggest, although camels is a bit daft, they were at the very least known to people of the time, so yeah. Let's just arrow them, shall we? Well, we established that crossbow is fun, but it's even more fun to be using the Mongol bow archers. Now see, one thing is, you unlock the mounted archers very late on comparatively to the others, so if you want to level them up, it's a bit of a grind, because as you can see they're level 16 at the bottom left there, and I'm fairly certain the other guys are all like level 22, well the guys I'm fighting, and yeah, the mounted bowman about half the level of all my other classes, is the one they use often. But never mind, because we have now successfully liberated Algiers. Woo! Is it Algiers? I don't know. This text is too small for my foolishly poor vision. So I fulfilled the contract, which means money's going to be coming my way. Fame, women, all the good stuff. Bang! Ha! Joan of Arc, you only got 68 points. You suck. That said, please still, fight well and Warriors Orochi 3 for me, because you are one of my top level characters in that. Oh well, so, return to the pub. I can now gossip with people, as you can see. Listen to all these foolish people bitch and moan about their rubbish personal problems. I don't really care, to be honest. And neither should you. So, this has been Fabs on with the controllers. I've been playing Bladestorm's 100 Years' War. Please like and subscribe, and as always, game hard.